Is there really Communist Party here in America?
Really? Yes.
Really?
Yes, they've been here all this time.
Really?
Yes.
The Communist Party?
Yes, yes.
Sheesh, and
They
what?
tried to wipe us out in the
23rd
50s, you know.
235 23rd Street.
You can even look us up, and we've got a paper.
I can't believe it.
PWW.org is our paper, and you can read
But
it.
what?
And you know, we were very involved in the civil rights movement, and that's why we're glad to be here today.
But when it comes to communism, I mean, isn't it the system that killed like 100 million people around the world?
You mean, like, what, are you thinking of Christianity? And
No,
Jesus?
communism. Communism is a system, it's a political system. I mean, it never existed, of course, because, you know, when they tried to make communism, they ended up with dictatorship, you know, stuff like
I
that.
disagree with your figure, number one. But
Okay, let's say 90 million people. How about that? Well, the reason I'm telling you that,
Yeah.
I come from USSR
Yes.
originally.
Yes.
You know,
Nobody did.
Which got 20% of the vote 3 days ago. But
well, it's not communist anymore. It's a capitalist country now.
no, but it's a communist party that ran. and
Well,
got
that's
20%
true.
of the
Yeah,
vote.
that's true.
It's
But
massive fraud by a capitalist politician named Mr. P,
yeah, I know. Putin.
which is a
But-
step
but-
backwards.
but
However
how?
bad it was then, I think.
So-
you got relatives.
So
and
if
stuff.
you have, see,
I
when I see
understand what you're
communism,
saying. I
it
understand what
really
you're
makes my blood boil, to be honest
The
with you.
Soviet Union was bureaucratic capitalism, first of all. It wasn't
What do you
communism.
mean capitalist?
It was
Soviet
bureaucratic.
Union was.
Yes, it was.
Are you serious?
I disagree with
You look
that.
like Lenin, by the way.
I'm just as poor.
Glasnost.
What's that?
Vlast
Naroda. Yeah, that's right. But that's when you start power to the people, but you end up with totalitarian regimes. He knows that.
Well,
It's just good on paper, but in reality, you know how it ends.
Right, but it's
Always
an
did.
experiment. Everything is an experiment.
So are
Even
you trying to repeat the failed experiment?
No.
Is this your goal?
We're trying to expand on the experiment.
How?
We're
How
trying to make it
so?
better.
How can you make? I mean, why wouldn't you use another word instead of communist? You know, make up some other name. When they use the word communist, like I said, my blood really boils because I know how many people were killed in the
But it wouldn't
USSR.
be- I mean, people know where we're from immediately when they see the name, because they also know how much we organized in the unions in the 30s and 40s. We led strikes. We were. very
But
involved
why
in the
wouldn't you
civil
use like labor movement? I have no problem with labor movement, or call it whatever you want. But when you
Well, that
use
would
the
be-
same
it'd be
symbols, the
deceptive.
same colors, like red, communist, I mean, I'm trying to get to.
But it's still a movement all over the world. You
But
know,
isn't it
in
good?
Latin
I mean,
America.
but that's the movement that killed millions and millions of people. You may
Every
disagree all
movement-
you want.
Every movement and every system of economy has killed millions of people.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you don't think capitalism's killed?
Of course not.
Oh.
Of course not. How
Then
capitalists?
I don't know where you're coming from.
I came from Russia. I came from this communist.
Then you know what? You should go to NYU. You should take some history courses. You should take economic courses because the capitalist system,
Okay,
the
let's-
imperialistic system, has killed more than people than any you can even imagine.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's for argument's sake agree that
Millions were killed.
let's hypothetically
You're
let's say they
Russian.
killed.
Look at the United States.
Yes.
Look at what happened with capitalism. You had the assassination and the genocide of the Native Americans.
Millions of people. Well, there was-
55 million.
Really?
People. Yes.
By the imperialist power. There was no
Exactly.
capitalist system back then.
It's
To
hard.
start with. What
What do you
about?
think the slave trade was?
Okay, let's, for argument's sake, let's assume that capitalist kills. But so did the communists. So in other words, you are supporting the system that
No,
you just
no,
admitted
no.
killed people, no?
Also, more importantly, we, as communists, there were communists within the Soviet Union who fought against what happened. The crimes, yes, the crimes that happened in
Yeah.
the Soviet Union, and the inexcusable,
So communism kills. You agree, right?
communism kills, but within its context,
And-
what the comrade here is pointing out, that
What do you
Mur-
define
murders-
yourself as?
Me, a capitalist.
You're a capitalist.
Of course, absolutely.
Well, and you learn in
Absolutely.
school, but what is capitalism?
Here's the fundamental.
Listen.
Yeah, I'll tell
Money,
you. You asked me.
advance for
No,
the
no,
sake
no,
of
no, no,
making
no, no, no.
money. That's all it is.
But what's wrong with making money? Are you
Because it
against
goes
making
on
money?
ad infinitum, and the thing is that you don't reach a certain point where you stop making money and realize that you have enough. You want more and more and more. And you never stop. You never
But
stop.
what's wrong with that?
That's misanthropic. That's completely against all the Christian.
How is
Buddhist
that? How is that misanthropic when for
For the Bible, what does it profit a man?
Well, by the way,
what does it profit a man
Yeah. Hold
to gain
on.
the world
Let
if
me.
he loses his own soul?
You brought a Bible, but you know that communists are against religion. God was
no,
dead.
no. Marxists might
What?
be. Not
That's
all
not
communists
true.
are.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Communism
No.
and religion are totally incompatible.
That's totally untrue.
We have-
I lived in USSR.
I
You're
don't care
telling
where
me
you
that
live.
But that
You're
may have been
wrong.
I'm wrong. Okay.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm
Okay.
saying the American
Marxism
Communist
might
Party
be against God.
does not have
Marxism
that view.
might be
is all
against
I'm
religion.
saying.
But
Communism, as a theory, doesn't. Communism as a theory predates Marx. It predates Engels. It comes from the ethos of Christianity and Buddhism. And Buddhism started in the 500.
so the
500
Buddhists
BC.
are communists?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. If you look at it and you
Interesting.
analyze it, essentially that's what they are.
So what's your program? Let's forget about history. You say you're Communist Party of what? New York State. What are you trying to achieve? I mean, I'm just curious. See, I lived on both sides of.
world.
How?
A better
Practically. Practically. How?
Practically?
Yeah. How?
By organizing workers so they have better wages.
How
and they have-
exactly? Specifically, step 1, step 2, step 3. I can tell you how capitalism works. I can tell you what the driving force behind capitalism. What's the driving force behind communist concepts? How?
A love
Practically.
for humanity, a love for
Really?
fellow human beings.
Really?
Yes.
And you think just the love for human beings will drive the economy, will make everybody prosperous? You seriously believe in that? Really?
And you think we're not going to destroy the world by seeking more and more wealth without having a terminus to how much money you want?
Okay, let
Now,
me-
You're not one of the 1%.
You're a complete misanthrope.
You're one of us.
Well, if you were misanthrope, I wouldn't be talking to you.
You're religious because you're some sort of you learned something of atheism in the Soviet Union because you're not religious at all.
No, they're not. That's true. But you just
Right,
said
okay,
that
so
communism
that
and
explains
religion.
it. You're a misanthrope.
Well, you know the definition of a misanthrope, right?
Yes, it's someone that doesn't love humanity. You don't
Well,
love
yeah.
humanity because you call
exactly.
yourself a capitalist.
Well, if I didn't like humanity, I wouldn't be standing here with
could
so
you
many
call- how
people
could you love
around.
humanity if you
Yeah,
call
but
yourself a
that's besides the point. So
it's
how?
not besides the
no,
point. That's
how
the core issue.
how would communism achieve?
How do you do that?
How would communism achieve prosperity, as opposed to capitalism?
I personally, I am very upset at Yakov Smirnov for what he did to comedy in the United States. So I'm just making a joke. See?
Okay.
Making a joke.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but seriously.
Okay, seriously.
Seriously. So how do you think your communist party, with your precepts
First
being
of all,
anti-capitalist,
It's not anybody's. It's everybody's party because everybody's welcome to participate.
Okay, fine, Communist Party. So how do you think practically you'll achieve it?
All right,
Again, look,
We want health care. We would like single-payer health care. We would like democracy. That's why we're here at this march. And I
but
still
communism and
want to-
democracy are not compatible. That's
No,
another
I think
thing.
they
The
are.
highest
yes.
form of
How
democracy
so?
comes from communism.
Okay.
We are actually for multiple parties. There should have been actually a number of parties. Led to the revolution in the Soviet Union.
Okay,
Which didn't
revolt.
happen, right?
So you
Listen,
want?
listen.
Yes.
Universal health care
Yes.
is not an outlandish radical idea. It was,
And I'm
it was
sure you
proposed
agree
by
with
Teddy
that.
Roosevelt.
What do
It
you
was
pay
proposed
for
by
health
Teddy
care?
Roosevelt in the 1920s.
What do you pay for your
I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But
What are your kids? How much they own the
fundamentally, do you for profit or against profit?
I
Fundamentally.
can't speak for everybody. I mean, look, honestly,
No.
I'll
It's
tell you
a
the
country.
truth.
Yeah.
I love the communists. I was once a communist. I
Okay.
am more of a socialist. I believe in communism as an end result of a socialist production. of
Okay.
a
So
socialist-
fine. Socialist. Okay.
I am a member of the Republican National Committee.
Okay. Okay. How Republican National Committee? How is that compatible with the?
I'm a left Republican.
Oh, that's
If you look at the origins of Republicanism, okay, it comes from Book 5 of Plato's Republic. There's a rich history. I mean, if you look at the ideals of the United States Revolution, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Going through the French Republic, going through the Italian Republic with Mazzini, Cavour, and Garibaldi, going through the Spanish republics of the 1930s that fought against fascism. There's a common goal and there's a common trait amongst these things. And the thing is that an honest Christian, an honest Buddhist, an honest communist, an honest socialist, an honest anarchist, they all want a better world.
It's this theory. Listen, practically. How practically? That's what I'm trying to get to. Look, in the Soviet Union, I'm sure Marx had great ideas. Great ideas. Do I want everybody to be nice to other people? Do I want the world without criminals? Do I want the world without murderers? Absolutely. But here's the reality. I mean, no matter what you do, we will have thieves in this world. We have murderers in the world. Regardless what system we live in, right? So communism sort of predicates that we have perfect humanity. So do you believe that it's possible to create this perfect human being, human
Eventually,
creature?
Yes.
No, I don't
It's a
believe
part
that.
of human
Really?
evolution.
I don't agree with that.
It's
No,
a part of
we're
human
imperfect.
evolution. Look, if you take it from a neuroscientific standpoint, okay, there are very basic functions in our brain
Okay.
that are designed to protect ourselves, that are designed to fight the flee or fight mechanism, for instance. Very basic aspects of it. And you know, the thing is that as we start being more civil to one another, we mitigate war, we mitigate poverty, we try to get rid of the criminality that's rampant throughout the capitalist system. It's possible for humanity to evolve on a biological level.
You really think so?
Absolutely.
Okay, so how long do you think it's going to take for humanity to evolve to the level they are referring to? Because human beings,
Look, I mean,
they tried
it could be.
in
It could take 10,000 of years.
So for 10,000 of years, how are we going to live? For the 10,000 years that will get to your ideals of communism.
Okay,
so
first-
what's the practical solution?
Practical solution.
We live today.
Okay.
You know, you don't mind my taping
Not at
though.
all.
Okay.
A practical solution. We look at the Mondragon Collective of the Basque region of Spain.
What? Basque? Okay.
Okay, it's the Mondragon Corporation Collective. It's an organization of workers that has a reasonable pay scale and that invests education and resources into the community that it's in. It's the 6th largest company in Spain.
And by the way, let me interrupt you for a second. Are you for Waldorf hotels like Waldorf Astoria or against hotels like Waldorf Astoria?
Am I against it?
Right.
Not really. I'm not against it.
But you know that on the communists, you know, you can't really live in Waldorf Astoria.
Again, I mean,
because
you're
you can't.
speaking to the wrong person. You're speaking to these people. They're the diehard members of the party.
Die hard. You're not that
I'm a
die hard.
Republican.
Republican communist. That's the
No,
first one.
I'm a Stalinist, anti-Bolshevik, anti-Nazi, anti-fascist Republican Catholic.
You're a Stalinist.
Yes.
And you know that Stalin killed some 50 million people. You know that.
Really? How does one kill 50 million people? He must have been some really, really tireless person.
Yes, he was. And he was paranoid also.
Let me
Yes.
tell you something. If it wasn't for Stalin, you wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here.
Well,
filming
I
this.
barely survived actually Stalin purges. Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
No,
My
no, no.
relatives.
Because of
The official
your
position of our party is we're not Stalinists at this point. I should tell you that.
They're-
Well, you know that Lenin.
And
Speak.
we criticized after the 1956 convention. Our party officially came out with major criticisms of Stalin, and we don't call ourselves Stalinists, contrary to the stereotype.
But how? What about Leninists? Especially since you look like one. What about
that's
Lenin?
We still consider ourselves a Leninist party.
Leninist. Great.
Meaning
1917.
democratic centralism.
Okay.
You know, very specific things.
When it comes to Lenin, do you remember how Lenin started his revolution? And actually, this information was hidden for many, many years until Yeltsin came to power.
Tell me.
Does the phrase "Red Terror" ring the bell? Red Terror. Does it ring the bell?
Now, what year are we talking about?
Well, we're talking
that
about.
wasn't the 1917
Oh
revolution.
yes. Oh, absolutely.
As I understand
Absolutely.
it, that was much later. when
Oh,
they were
much later.
in the 20s, when encircled by capitalism. But the actual Russian Revolution in October was not Red Terror. I mean, that was, you had the Union.
Really? You didn't see the
soldiers,
copies?
sailors.
My points of view
Yes.
are the points of view of one member of the Republican National Committee, which is me.
Yes.
I might be the only one,
What are you doing
obviously.
on the Republican National Committee?
I don't know how they gave
You
it.
picked up our banner.
They gave me that honor. I don't know. But that's my position as
Yes.
a left Republican, the Republican National.
And what is it?
That's-
So what about the?
What are
so
you going
what-
to do? We're actually here, among other. I mean, this is a great demonstration for democracy, civil liberty, civil rights, labor, and Occupy Wall Street are all here together. But the other thing is, what are we going to do in the next election? Since you asked step by step what we're going to do.
Yeah, step by step.
And one of the things is one of the major tasks we've got to do is defeat the ultra right. The Tea Party, backed by the biggest corporations.
But what's wrong with the corporations? I mean, do you see the cars around us, right? Who builds the cars? You are wearing
workers,
this jacket.
the
Who builds
workers, yeah.
this jacket? So you have for this Lenin cap. Who makes
We're going to be
makes
paid
that?
manager, and it's very nice cars. I was admiring the Maserati dealership and everything.
Okay.
But it's the workers who make it, and we're certainly going to pay the managers and the skilled craftsmen, good wages to do it. But the
We
guys
don't.
At the top,
We don't pay them decent wages.
No, we will.
But we don't now. You think?
No, we do. I think, but frankly, as we know, the heads of the corporations, when they make, say, 50, 60 times
So
what
what?
I or you make,
So what?
and they don't do crap,
So what?
and they're parasites.
They're the parasites.
I think, so, yeah, as we've seen with General Motors, Ford, a lot of the major corporations who basically don't produce anything except trade and hedge funds, etc. And I'm sure you agree with me on that.
No, I don't.
Because everybody,
No, I
frankly,
don't. Because
everybody. I traveled in the Soviet. Everybody who comes from the Soviet Union, no matter what your politics, I instinctively feel that you understand more about, in some ways, what we're about.
we
than a lot of
understand.
Americans.
You're
Both the
absolutely
bad
right.
and the good.
Most of the immigrants from the Eastern
your
Bloc,
No, I know you're
countries
gonna say the
are
negative.
100% capitalist. You know why? Because we've seen both sides.
And when I have a beer with you,
yes,
you're going to say all that, and I respect your views.
It's
but there's
experience,
also-
first-hand
no, but
experience.
there's
It's not just
also
you.
there's a sense of loneliness.
really.
I'm not sure. No, in America,
Really?
disorientation.
Really?
And
You
your
think that
kids-
I'm
I'm
lonesome?
talking
and
about,
this-
no, don't misunderstand me. In the broad sense, there's something missing, whether you call it spiritually missing, or
Really?
some lack of community in the U.S.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Are you
And
serious?
your kids, maybe I'm making generalizations, have a harder thing because once they see capitalism, the next generation, and the real limitations of what you're embracing. And I understand there's a lot of things here that's offered that the Soviet Union didn't offer in terms of choice, whether of products, and to some extent even political freedoms.
How
that you were
about
denied
the
there.
fact that we have this demonstration over here? In the Soviet
Yes.
Union, even before you would have thought of demonstrating,
Right.
you're being sent to Gulag, you're being eliminated, you're being killed, actually for no reason
And some-
whatsoever.
yes.
I mean, even if you were hardcore communists, they will still kill you. Like 1936, 1937
Right,
purges.
right.
Stalin killed the top military officials. I mean, Marshal
was Stalin or
Tukhachevsky,
people
for
in the
example.
parties, yes,
I mean,
yes.
the
I'm familiar with Trotsky.
hardcore communists,
yes.
they were still killed. So no matter which way you go, you get killed regardless. So you're saying still that communism is a better system?
I'm
That you would
saying-
feel lonely
I'm saying
in the
communism,
capitalist
frankly,
system?
No, that was an aberration. In that specific sort
But
of
it's-
period of the
wait,
30s was an
wait, wait, wait,
aberration
wait.
of communism.
Soviet
And it's-
Union, Cuba, Vietnam, China, Cambodia. I mean, the list goes. Ethiopia, all the Eastern Bloc countries. Once they became social, I mean, so-called socialist dictatorships.
Well,
East Germany, Poland, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia. I mean, you name it. Same. So Romania, Ceausescu. Remember? I mean, give me one example where people were not fearful for their lives, where there was equality in the so-called communist system that never existed. It's always been dictatorship. One. I mean, you're a proponent of a communist system.
I am, and actually none of those were really communist in the sense of the word.
But
they were struggling to become capitalist almost.
No, of course
They were
not. What are you
they were
talking
struggling
about?
to build capitalism so they could
In the Soviet Union, they were struggling to build communism. Are you
build up
serious?
the productive forces.
Are you serious?
Build up the productive
Of course
forces to
not.
compete with
Of
capitalism.
course not. Of course not. There were no productive forces. There were no forces whatsoever because it was command economy. And command economy is the one where there are bureaucrats in the Central Planning Committee, it was known,
Right.
who decide what needs to be produced in what quantities.
To build up the productive forces.
But
to
it
build
never.
steel.
But it never worked. It never worked. In the Soviet Union, you'll have.
because it was so decentralized, because it was so bureaucratized.
It was
ultimately-
centralized. It was very much centralized.
Yes, and that
That's
was-
why they had
and it
Central
should-
Planning Committee.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't. You need democracy with the central planning.
But democracy and communism are two incompatible things.
Well,
I just said that the leadership, Stalin killed virtually everyone.
I don't believe that.
You don't?
Obviously, I wouldn't be that. I agree that in some of those countries, at certain points, what you're saying, we can disagree on the figures.
All of them. All of them. All of them. Name me one. All of them, without an exception.
I'll tell you what would prove to me that communism didn't work, frankly.
Yes.
If there was a revolution in an industrialized country like Western Europe, in the U.S., Canada, that could deliver all the productive forces now, that would show me where you have a literacy, mass literacy, where you have wealth. You wouldn't be encircled by the biggest army in the world, the U.S., whether in the 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s. I think we are going to make a revolution that will be democratic because we have democratic traditions, which you like and I like too, and I'm glad we're demonstrating today, and we can demonstrate today, and I applaud that.
Because it's a capitalist country, exactly.
Well,
it's
because we had an American revolution. Which
was not communist. That's the belief that I have.
Absolutely. But it was an American Revolution.
Okay.
That
the Tea Party, by the way, that's when it all started.
Right.
You're
That's why
against
it's
the Tea
a disgrace why what they call the Tea Party today, which I'm sure you agree. The Tea Party today.
I'm a Tea Party member, by the way. For your information.
I understand there's people, but you're
small
basically
government.
plaything.
It's very simple. Small government, low taxes. It's a very simple concept. And being a Tea Party member, I saw among its ranks blacks and whites, Republicans, Democrats, independents, libertarians. I mean, anyone is welcome because they're united not by politics, but a simple concept: small government and low taxes. That's it.
But you're going to be you're a plaything of the corporations, basically, because the big corporations.
But
are
there's
backing
nothing
you
wrong.
Just as a battering ram.
Everybody travels on their own money, own time. I'm a small businessman myself, by the way.
And we believe we have something to offer small business people.
No, you don't. You don't.
In our specific program of lower taxes for
communists for low taxes.
Yes.
Really, communists for small government,
for working people and middle class people, and yes, increased taxes for people who maybe you aspire to be, but you'll never be because we're mostly locked out of the American dream now. Who are making 60 times what the average worker makes. I'm sure you work very hard in your business. Sure.
Yeah, but now that I've achieved,
pay a fortune for your workers for healthcare. Maybe.
No, I don't. No, even for myself, I don't pay much. I'm quite happy with what I have. And I used to work hard. That's true. When I started,
the first person I've talked to in America was happy with our healthcare system.
I am. Yeah, and most of the people that I deal with.
And your family?
No, not yet.
Okay, well. It becomes more of an issue, as I'm sure you know.
My sister has. She works for me, so she has no problem. We share the same insurance, the same healthcare program. She's
going up, and you're probably younger than me.
But look, if you ask my opinion, how to resolve the problem with the healthcare issues? Right. Two things, major things. One, tort reform, and two, cross-state health insurance. Competition is what brings the prices down. Wouldn't you agree? Competition. When the flat panel TVs just came out, remember how hugely expensive they were, like $7,000 or something like that. Now virtually everyone can afford them. By the way, built by huge corporations, but that's besides the point.
No,
so
electronics is one example.
But healthcare isn't the same thing.
But electronics, what I see, is about the only thing in America where the prices have actually gone down.
Cars,
computers,
anything, everything.
Cars haven't gone down.
Of course they do.
In the last 10 years?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they fluctuate.
But everything else has gone up. And why? Because at a certain point in capitalism, and you know you're Lenin better than most people in America, because you had to read it right in school.
We have to.
There's a stage of capitalism where there's monopoly. And so you
No, that's not true.
And
that's not true. We
control the market share.
We bring up the trust. Remember way back, we had like Bell Atlantic. It was broken up. So yes, we are fighting against.
Reagan came in and Clinton also. Yes, they knocked out a lot of these regulations, and actually we're for more regulation, intelligent regulation.
But going back to health insurance. I hope I'm not taking up too much of your time.
No, I'm walking along.
Okay. Because it's a fascinating conversation with someone who claims to be a communist.
Yeah.
So. Wouldn't you agree that the way to bring down health insurance costs would be two things? Tort reform, because the doctors have to pay exorbitant premiums.
I don't know enough about
cross-state insurance competition. Competition is something that brings the prices
You
down.
know, maybe yes, maybe no, but I think it's just a side issue, and they use that.
It's
as
the most
just a-
important issue. I mean,
think
logically.
healthcare, certain things. I don't know what your small business is. I actually think under socialism, there's going to be a need for a little boutique. Some things are better done in cooperatives or even for small profit if it's regulated, like well-designed shoes. People want to pay a little boutique industries and stuff, but healthcare and profit, I really believe this don't mix. You're playing with people's lives; they just don't mix.
Okay, there's
You got a service you want to do. People want to pay a little more for. Those are nice shoes.
Well, where do you think people live better, in North Korea or South Korea?
Better in terms of probably.
Everything.
Look, North Korea is not my model, but
Well, but it's communist. They claim to be communist, like the list that I gave before: Russia, Eastern Europe, Cambodia, Vietnam, China, and so on. So
Yeah.
they're one of those places. Except that the other places, countries moved on. But South Korea is what we used to have, decades back. It's still there. So where do people live better, in North Korea or South Korea?
I understand what you're saying, and I got to say, South Korea has certainly a lot more goods and services and a better standard of living.
And the reason being?
The reason being is A, they get a lot of aid from other countries. B, North Korea has made an awful lot of mistakes and is encircled by the rest of the world.
From China, you mean? North Korea is encircled by friend China?
How much, I don't know how much aid they get from China. I don't know.
That's besides the point.
Yeah.
So the one reason why North Korea is a piece of crap versus South Korea is one thing: communism versus capitalism. Wouldn't you agree?
No, because
No, okay.
you're using communism as more like an all-encompassing thing for every.
Okay, dictatorship, which calls itself communist, it's part of their name. Democratic.
Even if they say what they are, I don't necessarily buy.
Wow.
I think there's been a lot of.
But how can I take your name seriously then when you throw around the word communism and then you change the definition of communism? Lenin's communism, then progressive communism, American version of communism. I would assume that if you say communism, it's supposed to mean one thing. If you say capitalism, it's supposed to mean something.
I could say the same thing about the Tea Party.
Well, it's a movement. It's not
I
a
think
system.
you guys, frankly, are an aberration
Wait.
I'm not
It's
lumping
a-
you all
it's a
together, but it's an
movement.
aberration of the Tea Party, which I would have been in 1776. But I respect your, decision.
Okay, anyway, it was nice talking to
Yes,
you.
good. Yes.